Hey everybody, it is Elsid932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me for Love is Blind France, episodes 3 and 4, a recap and review. Please make sure you do like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave comments below because we go back and forth in the comments. And if you feel like it, please join the membership. We meet weekly on Mondays at 8:05 EST and we have grown folk conversation. 18 and over, please. Only 18 and over. But here's the thing. Friends, I gotta start off with this, okay? This is my second, recap for France, and I have to apologize. Because I thought you were going to be lackluster. I thought France was going to be lackluster like Love is Blind Minnesota was, okay? I thought France was not going to come in hot. But France, you come in blazing hot. Friends, you are serving, you are giving way more than I expected. And thank you. Thank you. So let's get into it. Cynthia and Jonathan, remember they had their reveal. She thought she was going to be too tall for him. So he is a little shorter and she is in heels, okay? But it's not by much. It's not by much, okay? He could just lay his chin on her chest right away, okay? So he does kneel. She does acknowledge that he is shorter than her, but she says realize that now that is not that important. He presents her with a ring. She says yes. She thanks him. He finds her perfect. He was not expecting her to be this beautiful. And he's hoping that she's not disappointed, and she does reassure him. I said, girl, I hope you told this man what you said in the ladies' lounge where you had one physical attribute and you don't know. So he feels speechless. He was gently touching her arm. It's like he couldn't believe she was there. And she was wearing his grandmother's bracelet that he gave her. She's also speechless and he feels very lucky. She says she can't wait for the life and family that they will share. So production shows us a message, okay? They tell us that Gallien is no longer a part of the experiment. That he broke the rules of no contact with the outside world. So the men's lounge maze is like, I don't know what he did, but it was big. Women's lounge, Sarah says it shocked everyone. And her heart breaks for Tatiana because that was her other connection. Tatiana said he checked, a lot of her boxes. He was smooth. He was fun. But this is a betrayal. What games are he playing? She said first Thomas, dumped her for someone else. And now Gallien is being, tossed out. She feels lonely. Now Thomas has his date with Tatiana. And she asked about the guy that left. And he said, hey, he finds out the girls were not told. And he's like, hey, you better off without him. I know why, but you can't tell nobody I told you. I was like, Thomas. He says, Gallien saw a girl at the hotel a couple of times. He won't go into details, but she is better off without him. Now, Thomas didn't want Tatiana, to know what type of guy, Gallien was, but I felt that was the way of telling her without telling her all the sordid details. But y'all remember, Gallien was the same dude that said he put his phone in airplane mode when he was with a girl so that no messages will come through so that she won't be curious about what's going on in his phone. So player. So Tatiana says, hey, God is protecting her from something and maybe he is steering her in the right direction for what is for her. But it's not over because she still has Yannick. In a woman's lounge, Tatiana walks in and speaks to Kim and spills the beans that Thomas gave her. She didn't tell the whole thing. But she says, hey, I know why the dude left. Thomas told me why he left. I can't tell you everything, but it was bad. I'm like, girl, he told you not to say anything. Kim does find it thoughtful, but Kim could have also turned it around, girl, thinking that why is he still protecting her? But I'm glad she didn't. Now the ladies, hope that they will find out exactly why. She's like, I'm going to tell you after this whole thing. Now, for some reason, production thought it was a good thing to have Gallien come in front of the camera and talk about the situation. He said he broke the rules. Now he's leaving through the side door and it's pathetic. He said there are rules and he only has himself to blame. He feels very nonchalant. Very nonchalant about it. And he doesn't seem remorseful. I'm like, Gallien, why are you here? Why are you acting like you had no control over what happened? Like you had no control over what was going on in your life. In the men's lounge, Jonathan mentioned to Van Mai that he keeps silent about his dates. So Van, who was 33, shares that he can't always talk so quickly outside of the pods, and he has to take his time. Because talking in his private life has always not been easy. So we see Van Nuys, 33, and I don't know. I guess because I have several cousins that look like Van Nuys, I'm like, he don't look as charming as he's supposed to be. There's something about Van Nuys that I'm like, is right beneath the surface that I just don't understand. So it's a challenge for him. He said he's shy and his culture is very discreet, and being filmed is something else. He's not used to dating this way. One lady says that talking to him is like a job interview. Ooh, he does sound hesitant and shy, y'all, in the pods. Like he doesn't know how to start new conversations with new women. And remember, he has to date 15 of them like speed dating. So he does tell us he was in a relationship for 8 years. A routine had set in and she cheated on him, and fidelity is very important. He has a date with Sabrina, 34. He tells her that he was in an 8-year and a 4-year relationship, and they have a lot in common. He wants to get married and takes relationships quite seriously. She says her ex used to talk to girls on Instagram all the time. She is possessive in a relationship and has a fear of abandonment and being cheated on. Sabrina, I don't think you're ready. I don't think you're ready. I hope you're not going to accuse him of talking to girls on Insta. So she, has gone through her boyfriend's phones before. Y'all know how I feel about going through phones. You don't do it. What's in the dark gonna come to the light straight to you. You ain't got to go through his phone. She said she did it when she had doubts. But was it real doubts or was it doubts that, you created? So Van is reassuring to her, and says she has a reassuring presence, and maybe, she said his calm demeanor gonna calm down her demons. I said, girl, that's not his job. His job is not to keep your fire at bay. That's your job, ma'am. What do you mean? So what if he doesn't keep them at bay? You gonna go off the deep end? She says she also likes Julian. He's not afraid to express his feelings. So her next date is with Julian, and he says he is dependent when in love. I said, what kind of dependent? Because it sounded like codependency. It sounded like real bad. So he needs to feel important and needed, and he is affectionate. How needy are you, sir? How needy? He needs to feel reassured. He says he tried to earn his dad's love. There you go. He said his mom always told him he was cute, he was good in everything, but his dad always pointed out what needed improving. So his need to be seen as good to his dad is what's leading this. So while we talk about several times out here in these internet streets about a man and his relationship with his mama, and this is what causes him to be like this in dating, here he is, Julian, telling us that the issues with his dad is causing him to feel insecure. He said, if he ends up alone in this process, he feels like he's failed in life. I'm sorry, Julian. This is too much pressure. Too much pressure. So Sabrina says she does not believe in divorce. Julian says, love builds over time. I'm like, is this a clue to tell her you ain't gonna love her right away? Are you preparing her for disappointment? He said he does not have feelings for her yet, but they could, catch up to that. In a men's lounge, Charles tells the man about the ultimatum that Sarah gave him. And the men are looking at him like, so what you gonna do? What you gonna do? So Charles has his date with Sarah, and he tells her that he can't stop thinking about the ultimatum. And is this what their life is going to be? Because he doesn't like ultimatums. She says she wants him to pick her because the other girl is nothing like her. And Charles is like, hey, you tell me nothing while she tells me everything. She's like, do you really want a wife, that freely talks about intimacy all over this international television? She says, she wants her future husband to not be okay that everyone in France gonna know their intimate details. And I was like, ouch, girl. Are you judgy much? Are you judgy much? Just because you don't talk about that and you know Julie probably is very comfortable talking about it, you going in. Because y'all remember one of the girls said she crossed out a guy that she liked because he wanted to talk about intimacy early. And Julie was like, hey, don't do that. You have to talk about it. You know, maybe he just wants to get that out of the way. So, I mean, judgy much? So she says, if you're okay with that, he's like, hey, he wants to talk intimacy. You know, she's like, at some point, you have to be a man and make a choice. I said, Charles, are you not hearing how Sarah is talking to you? Are you not hearing her? Because she's talking to you real foul. Real foul. He says, you know, you're going to break my heart. She's, you know, she is sure and they can be awesome together. And he chooses to move forward with Sarah. She's like, you made the right decision. She's counting on him to not go on any more dates, and she wants him to be quick and efficient when ending it with the other person. Sarah is very heavy-handed, y'all. Sarah is very heavy-handed. I know some people will say, oh, she knows what she wants. She's going after what she wants. But did Charles really make a decision, or did she push him where she wanted him to go? So Charles said he fell for her personality. You know, she walks out, and while she's walking back to the women's lounge, is like, I won, mofo, I won. And I'm like, girl, I need you to calm down. You ain't got no ring. You ain't got no ring. You ain't got no reveal. Calm down, Sarah. In a women's lounge, Sarah tells another girl that she got him, okay? And she told him, you know, she was super fun and they will have a super fun life and they won't be boring because, you know, y'all know Julie is boring AF. And I'm like, mean girl much, Sarah. But y'all, she gets meaner. She says she wants to tell Julie, I won. I'm going to be his missus. She wants her ring. I'm like, Charles, look what you done set off. Charles and Julie, he has to tell Julie today that he's going to end things with her and it's not going to be easy and he hopes she understands. He starts off, hey, choices have been made, and he decided to tell her he's moving on with Sarah. Julie's like, I don't get it. I don't get it. With all they shared and about the future, she is stunned. Charles said he told her, you know, he was told, okay, Julie has a lack of modesty when she speaks in the women's lounge. And Julie's like, say what now? That is definitely not true. And it's not fair that whatever conversation is happening, that she shared her thoughts and now someone jumped to conclusions. It's not fair. She's like, you don't take down your competitor this way. She is fully devoted to her man, and whoever he is, he will not question that she is with him. She loves who he is, Charles, on the inside, and she feels there's something between them. And she's not going to say the other person is right for him because that is their story. She knows about Charles and her story. She says, are you really sure? He's like, you're not making it easy. She's like, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to give up easy. In a women's lounge, in the meantime, Sarah's like, why does it take 2 hours to tell a girl she's not the one? She says, a jerk will do it in 3 seconds. A nice guy only needs 3 minutes. I said, Sarah, you are not a nice person. Sarah's our mean girl. Sarah, welcome to the mean girl category of Love is Blind, all versions. You one of them mean girls. Julie and Charles, she sent him a gift. Okay, we go back to their date. And it's a mug her friend made for her. And she takes the mug everywhere she has gone. It's a way for her to connect to her chosen family, which is her friends. And she's giving it to him because she feels comfortable with him and thought it would be the first item in their future home. Charles said he don't want to think anymore. He said he came, here to have his heart stolen, and Julie just stole his heart. She did it when he least expected it. And he's going to close the door, and she showed up kicking it in. Julie said, hey, do what's best for you. Make your decision and don't be afraid of hurting me. Okay? He said, yeah, because of what they've been through, the fear of hurting someone is always there. And that is his problem, y'all. He doesn't want to hurt anyone the way he has been hurt. But Charles, you're going through this. You got to end it with someone. Julie says in her own way she fell for him, but he will choose her. She says it in her confessional. She ain't putting the pressure on him like Sarah is. In a women's lounge, Sarah's like, I want to know what she will say, and I hope she cries again. Mean girl much, Sarah. Why are you hoping she cries? That is very, very mean. Because she says, her crying will let me know that he did break it off with her. You can just ask her, you can just listen, send one of your minions to go listen in. So Julie tells another woman that Sarah's been talking ish about her. And I think it was Chloe she told. And I was like, what? The other girl, she's like, that is awful. And Julie goes on to say that, yeah, she made it seem like I was trash. Like I talk like trash. But if she was so confident about her connection with Charles, she wouldn't have to say that. She's like, make a choice on your heart and not what people say. In the men's lounge, Charles said he confused. He told the men what happened. The guys are surprised that Julie fought for him. And it is rough, when he already said yes to Sarah. But did he really propose, or did he say, I want to continue with you? He just said he wants to continue with Sarah. He never said propose, or you my number one, or I chose you. He just said, I want to continue. But y'all could, talk about semantics. I'm like, until there's a proposal, until you ask somebody to marry you, that ain't the end. Okay? That ain't the end. Sabrina and Julian, he said he wanted to leave. He thought about a girl that he met like 5 or 6 times before the experiment. But he's thinking about the outside world. She said, hey, if you are here now, I know that we are worth more of your time, but she does need assurances from him. And he likes how she just accepted what he said, and it calmed him. But meanwhile, she goes and shares with Chloe and Kim, like, look what he said, okay? He lost some points with me. In the men's lounge, the men are shocked that he shared that with her, and how well she took it. She tells us it doesn't make her feel safe, she feels sad, and he lost a lot of points. Now, Sabrina and Vinay, he only wants to go on one date or date one person, and that's with her. And she makes him happy. This also makes her happy. She asks if his family would be open to her and her culture because she is from North Africa. And he said yes, his family adapts. He has a sister-in-law from Cambodia and another from Peru. And his parents fled their war-torn country and they lost everything, but they provided a wonderful life and education for the kids, for him and his siblings. Her parents have been together for 40 years and that's what she wants. She says her mother has advanced Alzheimer's and her dad has stayed and took care of her. She wants that in her life, and it's important for Van as well. It touched him, her respect for the elders, and this could be their love story. Van I does go to the men's lounge and say he is only focused on one person. He ain't say the name. Good looking out, okay? The men take it well and they joke with him. Yannick and Cindy, she asked about family and fatherhood. He says family, children, whatever you want. He sounded so flippant. He sounded like it wasn't really important to him. That was just important to her. And I was like, do you really want it? Or you're like, yeah, whatever you want. Cindy does share with us that she has frozen her eggs, just in case. And he's like, oh, that's beautiful. And he said he made a list about what he wants in a wife. And his brother also gave him a list of what he needs to look for. And he feels that he and Cindy can grow together. And they have not gone into details, but she does like him. Yanni says she is profound. She has great values. And he is not feeling it yet, though. In the men's lounge, he's not feeling the feelings, he said, and that will shake him up and make him feel, all, I guess, giddy inside and get him on one knee. He does like Tatiana, and her having a kid is not an issue for him, but he does want to, add another level to this. He does have a date next with Tatiana, so she tells him that the other woman he connected with is falling really hard, and, so it's mutual, and I'm like, what? Why are you saying this to him? Why are you bringing up the other woman? Why are we talking about the other person on our time? She said this is the story of her life. She is fed up. She wants a connection. She wants to be happy, but she'll be happy for them. And he's just like, why don't you ask me about my connections and how I'm feeling? He is considerate of her, okay, and the other lady, but there's no spark with the other lady. With Tatiana, he does feel something. She's like, yeah, but there is another person and it's exhausting. And he's like, focus on what we're sharing here. Focus on our experience. Why ask if the other woman is feeling something? She's like, she's given so much, she can't do it anymore. She just wants to be loved. It's not complicated, but it's not easy at her age. You know, she just wants to be loved and chosen. She wants to leave the pod. She is fed up. She is tired. She is done with this. And she's afraid of being rejected. And here she is being rejected in the pods at 39 years old. And he's like, there's no question for me that you and I vibrate. She's feeling overwhelmed, y'all. I don't know if she was turned down by Julian and, if she was turned down by several of the men that same day, but she sounded overwhelmed. Yanni said they're not on the same page as far as communication. It's smooth communication with Cindy, but it feels like a storm in a teacup with Tatiana. So you choosing the storm? Do you want smooth sailing or do you want stormy sailing? Sabrina and Van Eye. He sent her a letter. It's scented with his cologne. He drew her a rose. It sounded very sweet, very nice, very heartfelt. You know, he does find it hard to open up, but when he does, it's deep and she understands. She does ask him about intimacy in a relationship. He's like, hey, we just need to be compatible and they don't need to say more. She's like, they're on the same page and, he is a safe space. At her age, she does not need a roller coaster ride anymore. I don't need it either, Sabrina. But y'all here on Love is Blind France are putting me on a roller coaster. Sabrina's next date is with Julian. Julian said things are chill. He wants to show her they're compatible. He wrote her something. She's moved by it. She says it means a lot and she'd rather be honest with him. And she tells him her concerns about him. That the last time he broke her trust. So she's made up her mind, but it still breaks her heart. He is disappointed because he wanted to meet and grow with her, and he feels he's missing out on a woman that was meant for him. She does cry, she is sad, but she feels like she made the right decision. Julian feels, hey, life will go on in a better way. In the men's lounge, Julian tells the men, hey, I didn't stand a chance. Van and Sabrina, she says she feels confident about their relationship. She wants to open her heart to him. She has real feelings. And Van Eye says, he reads a letter and he proposes and she says, of course. I don't know why, y'all. And it may be a pet peeve for me. I don't like when people say, of course. If somebody's proposing to you, it's yes, I will, I do. I don't know. I think of course is just so flippant to me. Please put your comments below what you think about saying, of course, when someone proposes. Yanni and Cindy, he feels like he's being transparent. She's good for him. He feels understood. He does not feel for her in his heart. There's no spark. Now, he says, does he live with a potential for a spark? Or does he go for the real spark that's already there? Cindy said, hey, a spark is fleeting. You can be missing out on an amazing relationship. And she doesn't see how he is confused. She doesn't see how the spark is sincere. But go and see for yourself. Cindy, is pulling out all the stops. She pulled out all the stops. She's like, okay, let's do a sensory connection. Let's close our eyes. See you like we're walking to each other. Like we can smell each other's perfume. We kiss. What's the kiss like? Yanni said it's hard to imagine. She said she didn't come here for just anyone. She wanted someone and she wants to marry her someone. But she says it's up to you, Yanni, to decide. In a women's lounge, Cindy tells that he has a spark with someone else. She said she, didn't like, that he said that. But she, may have to bring in her karate moves in order to get her man. I said, what is up with this? Love is Blind Brazil. There's a woman with nunchucks. Here comes Cindy with her karate stuff to fight for, Yannick. I was like, girl, Yannick is not going to have you out here doing karate chops in the women's lounge. So then we see the reveal for Sabrina and Van Eye. He wonders if she will like him. She says she's ready for this. Now they have a smile. He has a big smile, but she seems very hesitant. Y'all put a pin in that. Okay, we're going to put a pin in that. They hug. She gives him, a quick peck on the lips. I'm like, does she really like him? Does she like him? But she asks if he finds her beautiful. He says gorgeous because he doesn't really talk about her looks that much. And I wonder if he's focused on the experience and that should be blind to the looks. I don't know. I'm not sure about his thought process in all this. Sabrina does say that Vanna gives, kindness and good vibes. He says that she is his type and, she has tried to make him feel at ease at this reveal. She says it's so natural and he says he can't wait to live their lives together. Now, Charles has to decide between Sarah and Julie. He is walking into a room. He opens the door. He starts talking. He says, we have shared a connection, but he's not in a position to propose. Now, whose room is it? And that's how episode 3 ends. And luckily, we go straight into episode 4 and we still with Charles. Because I would have been so hot if this was the end of the week. Like they said earlier that they were ending with episode 3 this week. So he goes on to say we shared a lot, but he's not ready to propose. Something has happened. He's not proud to make a commitment and then change it. But today he cannot propose anymore. And he's talking to Sarah. She says it's a good thing. I said, ooh, is it really, Sarah? What are you going to do? She says she needs someone who sticks with their decisions. You picked, her entire opposite. So clearly she is not a match with him. She says, I wish you the best. Don't DM me in a few days because I won't answer. And she knows he'll want to DM her. I said, Sarah, obnoxious much? So you get the mean girl and the obnoxious girl at the same time. She said she can't imagine him changes his mind in 2 hours. He's clearly not for her, but he and Julie deserve each other. That was a mean girl exit, Sarah. You ain't gonna live this down. I need you to go look at, and I hope you have looked at the Mean Girls of Love is Blind in its history. Because you right up there. You ain't at the top, but you up there. Charles and Julie, he sent her gifts. So I lost count as to how many gifts, okay? But he explained it very well, okay? He gave her an eternal rose because she's an extraordinary woman. He gave her a stuffed hippopotamus. He received that when he was born. And the hippo has a belt. He added that when his mom passed away because in his grief he took up judo and it helped him get through his grief. She says it's so sweet. She is touched. He's like, you touched my heart. He proposes and she's like, wait a minute, is this for real? Are you for real proposing? She's like, wait a minute, I need to know that last name before I answer. So he tells her his last name and then she says, yes, of course. She's like, well, wait a minute, we engaged? Are you really mine? He said, yes, I'm yours. She is so happy. It was so cutesy to see Julie's reaction to this. And she's like, wait a minute, I thought you were going to break up with me. Wait a minute, I got gifts? I got a proposal? What we doing? That was so really, really cute. In a woman's lounge, Sarah comes in and says, ooh, he chose the other one. Sarah, this is the one time you can say a name because it ain't you. Julie walks in and, people yell and congratulate her. Sarah is upset and said, ooh, Julie did a good job. She sold herself to him. She told him, pick me, pick me, pick me. And he picked her. Kim said, he is a real problem. He is a betrayer to his word. So one of the girls go to hug Sarah. She's like, don't hug me. Don't touch me. Don't hug me. Not even a little hug. And she said, he is such a player. I'm like, did he play? I understand how you would feel that way, but he didn't really play you. I think Charles has, had a decision to make and you were pushing him and you pushed him into making a decision when he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready. So in the reveal, we see Charles and Julie. She brought the bear, but she didn't take it with her when the doors open. She couldn't wait to see and hug him. He says in real life, it would take like 6 months for them to even get here. So the doors open and they hug deep and long. He proposes and she says yes several times. The song, they play is Making My Way, Living Another Day. Okay, now then they kiss. Okay, Julie says physically, he's not her usual type, but he's charming. She likes his short beard. She don't like long beards. He does compliment her, says she's beautiful. She's like, you're sweet. Okay, he ain't handsome. He talked about your looks. You could at least say you look good in that suit. He apologizes for what happens in the pods. He say, I need to apologize in person. That tells me a little bit of good character right there, Charles. I ain't going over the deep end with you, okay? I ain't going over the deep end saying Charles is a great guy, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, because we know how that works out in Love is Blind, okay? Production shows us one side of Charles and then flip the script with us later. So we're going to say in this moment, him apologizing as person is good character. But she seems disappointed. I don't know how long this is going to last. I don't know how long. I don't think she was expecting a blonde dude because she thought he was going to be big and buff since he did MMA. So he said, you know, but he does make her feel the same as in the pod. She has affection for him, but she's not attracted to him. Y'all put in the comments if y'all feel that Julie gonna grow in attraction for this man. Charles, he would have stayed holding her. He says she's gorgeous and he's very happy. Now the next man that has to choose is Yannick. He has to choose. So we see him talking to Tatiana. She apologized for the, state she was in yesterday. He said he was worried, but he feels for her, and not seeing her is really hard. But they need to work on their communication. He says he takes her as she is, 39, with a child. That is not a problem for him. She says she has feelings for him, but she is scared. He says, hey, she wants to be chosen, and he tells her that he chooses her. He reads her a letter. In his heart, he loves her, and he has faith that they would be ready and take that leap. He kneels, he proposes, and she said 1,000, 1,000,000 times yes. In the men's lounge, they congratulate him. He, he said he didn't have to think about it. It's them. He says the only challenge that they have right now is communication. That's a big challenge though, okay? Yannick does go talk to Cindy. He wrote her a letter. He left it, of course they left it in her pod. I guess when he walked in, she already read it. He tells her, I chose Tatiana and wanted Cindy to know that she is a wonderful person. She says she did not expect him to not have feelings for her and to pick someone else that he barely knows. I'm like, Cindy, he barely know you. Cindy, he barely knows you. What do you mean you expect him to pick somebody he barely knows? You don't know what he know about Tatiana. She's like, oh, they opened up to each other. The problem is that he wanted her to open up more and more and more, and he knew he was going to make this choice. She says, it was powerful, but now she's thinking, was this all fake? She knows who she is. She did not need his letter to tell her who she is and that she's of value. And she wants someone who would, want a good, simple life with her. She wished he broke up with her earlier. And she feels like she was put on the back burner. Yanni took it all. He let her rip into him. And then when he could speak, he said, hey, I understand. And she's like, this is a confusion you created. He agrees. He's like, but he does not agree that he put her on the back burner. He said he gets her, but the time it takes, he wanted to see if there was something there. And y'all, he had that right to date and date and date. He wanted to see if there was something more. She did intrigue him, but there was no spark. Y'all know people get into relationships a lot of times and say, well, it'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better. And I think Yannick fell into that groove of, Cindy going to show me something different the next time. She going to show me more the next time and I'm going to feel something. So, hey, he said he took the time to write it all out to her to show her that she did mean something to him. He said, but love is a risk. He apologizes for not being as transparent as she wanted. And she's kind of like, well, thanks. See you. Cindy is mad. She said she's mad and disappointed. And he is not the one. I said, Cindy, you are in your feelings right now. You probably were thinking that, hey, I'm able to use, this time to get to know this man. And then we can have a family together. You probably were way down the road. But y'all, Cindy is hot. And what Cindy does when she is hot, she goes to the women's lounge to talk to Tatiana. We needs to talk. I said, Cindy, I need you to go pack your bag and go home. You don't need to bring this to Tatiana. Leave her alone. But she doesn't understand Yannick and Tatiana. She's like, hey, you want to know about him? Tatiana, that is. Says, you want to know about Yannick? You need to go ask him. But you want to know about me? You can ask me. I said, Tatiana, girl, you better tell her. Tatiana felt that energy. She was like, don't come for me. Do not come for me. unless I send for you. So Cindy goes on, like, when you were in here earlier, in the week, you were all about Thomas. Tatiana's like, hey, you oversimplifying what's going on. You have the right information, but the wrong conclusion. Now, y'all, that was the most genteel way of putting someone in their place. But Cindy ain't hear it. Cindy don't hear the horn of the train coming around the bend that Tatiana is driving, okay? She don't hear it because she is too caught up in being mad and in her feelings. She says, Yannick said that, they had an emotional connection, but now he has a spark with someone else, and she is not here to be nobody's little spark. Cindy, you ain't even a little spark. She's like, when she has her man, she has no problem in being seductive. And Tatiana's like, whoa. You think I seduced him? Is that what you think? I seduced him. She's like, but you see what it is? The spark came and it's there. Cindy, she questions that, whether Tatiana is authentic or if it's for the cameras. She's like, I was wrong, but I thought that Yannick and I had a deeper connection. Tatiana's like, I'm sacrificing time with my son to be here. I'm not playing games for no daggone camera. Cindy said, this is what hurts. She said, why did he make her spill her guts for him? Why, did he make her get deeper and deeper each time, knowing that he was going to pick someone else? It's not okay. But y'all, they did hug. Cindy did kind of say, I don't blame you. I just wanted kind of clarity. But Tatiana certainly gave a good side eye to Cindy. She needed that side eye. Under reveal for Yannick and Tatiana, she says she's living a modern day fairy tale and waiting for her happy ending. And I'm like, really? Really? Okay. Yannick said he will be reserved and weird. He can't help it. He's just so nervous. Now, y'all, they walk very slow together. Yannick, I like the outfit that you had on. I like that jacket. It's a little different. But I'm not sure I like that, tank top under it. I'm not sure. How I feel about it. A ribbed tank top to meet your future wife when she is decked out in a bejeweled gown. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But you looked good in that green jacket suit. Really, really, you look good. He does say he feels unsettled. She does find him cute. Okay, they have a big hug. She has to ask, do you think I'm pretty? And I don't know if people don't think the person is handsome or beautiful, or if they're so overwhelmed by the visuals that they forget to say, you look good. But he said, hey, beautiful is not a big enough word to describe. I said, Yannick, you got them words together, brother. Don't you? You got them words together. But he said he feel like dancing. She's exceptional. She says she loves how he smells. And he's like, hey, we gonna celebrate black love. He proposes again. She says yes. He said he feels her power. She's a powerful woman. I said, you laying it all real thick, Yannick. The song they play is No Matter What, Won't Change My Love. Yannick says she is my wife. When he's talking to the producer said, hey, not yet. He's like, I already committed. I already went round the bend. That is my wife. I was like, Yannick, you better tell them that is your wife. Y'all, we have our 6 couples for the vacation. They say honeymoon, but I don't say honeymoon because, hey, they ain't married. The 6 couples are Kim and Thomas, Chloe and Alex, Cynthia and Jonathan, Julie and Charles, Tatiana and Yannick, and Sabrina and Van I. Almost forgot about Sabrina and them. I forgot about them. So they vacation in Morocco, a certain part of Morocco, and I'm like, why Morocco? I know they use the Morocco pods like they used in Love is Blind Habibi. But when I thought about them vacation in Morocco, I said, oh, they can't room together. Remember Love is Blind Habibi? They couldn't share rooms. I said, why would y'all do this? This ain't y'all custom. But y'all, that's not the case. It is a part, I guess, a Moroccan resort where they can share rooms. Now, there's a whole montage of them arriving, checking stuff out. I'm just going to do the highlights. Kim and Thomas, because y'all, Kim gonna be giving it to us. She says she has to inspect everything. She is particular. She sound high maintenance, y'all. She sound high maintenance, and she doesn't sound very nice and kind. She does not go with the flow. She says she needs champagne. I'm glad you have champagne here because of the flight she took. She's like, oh, no way is she cooking while here. She needs to inspect the bedroom. She's just going on and on and on. And Thomas is like, he just wants to hold her and kiss her. But he says she notices the small details that he couldn't care about. He said he is plain and she is sophisticated. She's like, wait a minute, there's no staff here to open the champagne bottles. I said, girl. And then Thomas is like, no, he's the staff. He's here to serve. She says maybe he's intimidated because he's not raised in this lifestyle. But she hugs him when he asks for a hug, first of all. And she hugs him. She's like, oh, are you wearing designer cologne today? I recognize that smell. She named the cologne, y'all. I just not going to name it because I don't want no issues. She says, she is posh. He's simple. I said, ooh, does she really like Thomas? I don't think she liked that man. I don't think so. I think she inspected him like she inspected the room and figured she don't want him. Julie and Charles, she tells him that she needs more time with the physical. Her usual type is dark-haired Mediterranean men. For now, she does not like his looks, but she likes what's inside. And she wants to get past it. She tells us to Charles. She says she is, still having love for him like she did in the pods. And it's crazy, but it's not the same now that she can see him. Charles said, don't worry about that. He said he is not her type. He is not embarrassed. He's like, when you end up talking and getting to know another person, sometimes the appearance is not going to be, an issue later on. He said, if it doesn't happen, we shall see. We shall see then. But she does, take his hand. She does initiate touch. She does initiate a hug. So she's not repelled by him, but she's trying to get accustomed to his looks. Yannick and Tatiana, they toast. There is tension and chemistry. They start to cuddle. She says, hey, she left her son to find something of herself, and she wants to enjoy this vacation. The song says, can't keep you off my brain. Yannick says Tatiana is a bombshell, and he's attracted to her. Sabrina and Van Eye, she says things are going well. She doesn't feel like it's a stranger in her bed, and they go to bed talking. Alex and Chloe, there are no expectation, but she wants, to do crossword, and he wants to do Sudoku. And I'm like, Alex, we ain't falling for that. Charles and Julie, they sleep separately. He tells her good night, and she says, hey, sleeping is an intimate act, and they're taking their time. And he says he does not mind that. Take the time. He has, hope that it won't take too much time. We see the next day. Yannick and Tatiana, he said he slept like a bunny in a world full of carrots. I said, Yannick, you better tell it. But he says he's going to keep it clean. There was a physical miracle. There was an emotional miracle. There was miracles upon miracles that night. I said, what a way to keep it clean, Yannick. Chloe and Alex, she said it went well and it was good. Okay, that's all we're getting. Sabrina and Van Eye, he says it's a dream, but they have been a little distant. But they're still getting to know each other, and he is shy. And he's not comfortable yet, and he has to make a move and get over that shyness. She says she told him he has a nice body, but he did not return the favor, and she needs reassurance. So now she's feeling a little, does he like how I look? Julie and Charles, they take a boat ride. They're cuddled up. She says he's taking care of her. He is considerate. She's more touchy-feely with him. And, she said it's new to love, a person's inner self. And I'm like, okay, so you really still love Charles, even though the outside package isn't the same. But she says she wants to give it a chance because he is technically perfect for her. They jump in the ocean. It's cold. He said she is getting more comfortable. They're moving forward, and he's hoping this move forward is for a lifetime. Yannick and Tatiana, they have dinner. She asks about meeting his brother, and he seems hesitant, y'all. He seems like, yeah, about that, I don't know. But he says it's because, he has never brought a girl home before. He says he has a sister-in-law that is Ivorian, and that is part of Tatiana's heritage, if y'all remember. She's part Ivorian and part Italian. He said his brother's been married for 10 years, and that's the goal. and she is ready to celebrate black love. And she said, hey, she knows it's an American concept that, black people have a right to love and be expressive with their love that's comfortable for them. And she says in France, black couples are not represented. I can say that I was quite refreshed to see all the minorities on Love is Blind France. Love to see my black folk too. Yanni says he never felt so at ease with someone. And, he wants to show black love, and he loves that he can express his blackness with his partner. And I totally understand you, Yannick. I understand. Now, Chloe does ask Alex about kids. And I said, Chloe, what are we talking about in the pods? Why are we talking about kids on the honeymoon? Why are we talking about kids on vacation? That should have been a pods talk. So Alex says, hey, there's no point in rushing, but you have to be ready. She says she has no thoughts in the immediate future, but her thinking has changed when she saw him. She said maybe she needed a partner that she could envision a family with. But he feels that they are growing together. The song we hear is Small Things Begin. Now, the next day, we see Kim and Thomas, and she tells Thomas how Charles broke it off with Sarah. He's like, hey, that's their life. We really can't judge. And she's like, you're not going to act like nothing happened since he hurt her friend. And I'm like, she sounds like Cal off of Love is Blind UK season 2. He says, hey, he going to stay out of it. She's like, oh no, I'll be diplomatic. Cynthia and Jonathan. She says, are you ready for questions about our height difference? He says, yes, but he would have been upset if it had been a deal breaker for her. She says, hey, it was a fundamental issue, but given who he is and his personality and everything, it's not an issue. While she's talking and praising him up, he is doing, arm flexing in the mirror like, yeah, I'm the man. And I'm like, okay. So she picks heels for the mixer, and he asks about her sandals. She says, oh, I love high heels. I love how I look in high heels. I love how they make me feel. I just love my heels. Y'all, they go argue in the closet. I thought it wasn't a problem. Jonathan. But they arguing in the closet. He says, please wear no heels tonight because he will get roasted. I'm like, you're not ready, sir. You are not ready. Y'all, my grandparents, and if you've been here, you know what I'm talking about. My grandfather was about 5'5", if so much. And my grandmother, 5'9". In their wedding photos, they are holding hands and he's looking up at her. He didn't give a daggone if she wore heels or not. And he didn't give a daggone what anybody said. That's not their business. So she says, you said it was okay. You said it wasn't a problem. He's like, forget it. I'll see you later. He goes outside. She follows him. What I wasn't going to do, Cynthia, I wasn't going to follow him outside. But do you, girl? This is your new fiance, and you're going to learn to communicate with this man. He said, listen, we're meeting the other contestants, and they will make fun of me. She's like, that's their problem. He's like, you chose heels, and it shows you don't give a dang about his state of mind or how he feels. She's like, I feel good in my heels. It's not about you. She says, I didn't think it would be a bother for him. But when he made it a non-issue, she chose to wear her heels. He didn't care what she wore, but when she picked the heels, now it's a problem. She says she is comfortable with the height difference. Other people's judgment is not her problem. As a tall girl as well, Cynthia, exactly. The height issue ain't nobody's business. And when they talk about it, that's their problem. It shows more about them, not about you. I like Cynthia. I like you. He said he assumed she would want to wear flats to avoid comments from the other couples. And she's not putting herself in his shoes and it hurts him. No, you literally want her in your shoes. You literally want her in the sneakers. That's what you want. He says she doesn't care for my feelings, makes no effort to make him feel good. But she feels good in the heels. You're making no effort for her to feel good. We got an impasse here. You don't feel good because she in the heels and she feel good in the heels. We had an impasse. She says, why would you care about people we don't know? That hit deep. That is true. Why do you care, Jonathan, about what people that you don't know think? But here's the thing. I think it is, Cynthia, And everybody that's watching, thank you very much for still being here. I think it's because on camera, everybody gonna see it. It's gonna be on rewind and replay, and he ain't secure. So y'all, he was once outside the pool. Then he goes all the way outside the gate, I guess the gated area for the walled-in area for their little house. He goes further out. He ain't just out by the pool anymore. He goes all the way out. She follows him. I said, why are we following him? This is the second time you're following him, Cynthia. But I understand, again, that is your new fiance, and you're going to try and communicate with this man because you'll have someplace to go. And then, is he smoking? Yo, I forgot this was France. I'm seeing this little bit of smoke curling up, and they're blurring out something in his hand. I said, wait a minute. Is he smoking? Huh. I forgot where I was. She's on the bottom step, y'all, looking up, and he's like, you don't have to stand on the bottom step. You can stand next to me. I'm not that insecure. Well, we couldn't tell, Jonathan. Because the way you acting sound real insecure. John's like, you don't think about me. Put yourself in my shoes. Why do you keep talking about shoes? I know it's a saying, y'all, but he keeps saying, put yourself in my shoes, and his shoes are flat. She should have sensed, that even for this one time that she shouldn't wear heels. Sensed sounds like she should have read your mind. And since she is not a certified mind reader, Jonathan, you should have said something. You shouldn't say like, oh, it's not a problem. And then when she picked the heel, it's a problem. You a problem, Jonathan. You a problem for me. I'm sorry. She says, she's trying to get her point in. And he's feeling like he being interrupted. No, sir. When we hear it and we see it, she keeps trying to get her point across, and you keep cutting her off. He says he doesn't like this. He's done. He's leaving. He's getting his things and he's leaving. Well, then leave. Take your cigarette butt with you too. Leave. Oh, my word. I was like, first you secure about this. Now you insecure. What would other people say? It's the cameras. Good riddance. Bye. So we're supposed to have the couples mixer. Okay. We see Chloe and Alexander walk in. We see Kim and Thomas. We see Sabrina and Vanai. And we see Charles and Julie. When Charles and Julie walk in, Kim calls Charles an elf and a troll. Mean girl number 2 has been found. Kim is just as bad as Sarah. She says he's neither handsome nor ugly. In front of the camera in a confessional. Okay? This is supposed to be Love is Blind. Now you're talking about looks. Okay. Both Sabrina and Kim tell him that they were friends with Sarah and he needs to explain. He said, okay, I'm going to explain later, whatever. And he goes off. Goes off away meeting. He walks away. Tatiana and Yannick walk in and Thomas does tell Tatiana hello. He does greet her very well. And then the host and hostess come in and everybody's like, wait a minute, we're missing one. Where's Cynthia and Jonathan? Somebody said, well, maybe they went home. I don't know if they said that then because we didn't really see any mouths moving, so we don't know. But the host and hostess walks in and tells them, reminds them it's 4 weeks till the weddings. And Alex is like, say what now? Thomas does after that, and they do a toast. He does ask Yannick if he could talk to Tatiana. That was very respectful. Thomas and Tatiana talk. He says he is happy that things are going well for her and Yannick. And, enjoy the relationship and, take care of herself. She does thank him for that. And, they talk about their kids and they have a good, little banter kind of closure. I don't need closure. Don't believe in it, but they got it. So the song they play is Till I'm the Last One Standing. Now, Yannick asks Tatiana if she thinks he's handsome. I mean, you think I'm handsome? You think I'm good? Insecure much, Yannick? Or is it because of this process that people feel they need reassurance about how they look since their looks didn't come into play till later? Y'all put that in the comments. I wonder if that is why people say, do you think I'm pretty? Do you think I'm handsome? Because they weren't, told that early on. Sabrina goes and asks Kim if she thinks Vanai is good looking. Why are you asking another woman if she thinks your partner is good looking? I just don't get that. Especially one woman that at some point dated him, even if it's for the first 15 minutes. Why are you asking another woman? She says he's a charmer and he goes deep into emotions. But she could see that Thomas loves Kim. And Kim's like, yeah, he was watching me sleep for like 2 hours this morning. She says in terms of his manner, he does shock her. And what's shocking about Thomas, y'all, is that he puts his elbows on the table. She's like, sometimes it's kind of cute and quirky, and that's him, but it shocks her. And I understand that, but that tells me that the class level is very wide between Thomas and Kim. Chloe tells Julie on, how she really loves Alex, and she's looking over at Alex. She's like, I need to stop looking at him, but isn't he cute? Look at him. Chloe is just all over Alex, and I wonder if it's just too much. Is Alex going to feel smothered? I don't know. I don't know Chloe. I don't know him, but it was cutesy, but I'm like, So the song they play is Don't Bring Your Trouble Here No More. But the trouble was coming. Usually the song is about what was behind, but the trouble was coming. Charles is about to be grilled, y'all. They make room for him on the U-shaped couch. Kim says, we can't, I was going to grill you, but we can't do that to a little elf. And the men are looking like, what? Yannick gives a little chuckle. Sabrina says that, his lips and his voice don't match. Charles is like done with them. Charles is like, oh, this is how we're going to do it? I'm done. But he still sits there. And Alex says, remember, he's an MMA champ, trying to kind of bring some jokes into it. Now, Tatiana says, we felt you were stringing Sarah along. Tatiana, stay out of it, please. Charles says, is it really? We're all here to meet other people, so is it stringing you along? But Julie comes in, and Julie's like, it's none of y'all business. Do you remember Charles said, he came to close the door on Julie, and Julie kicked in the door with him? Well, Julie kicking in the door right now, and I love it. Julie, you are my favorite right now. Julie is my favorite person as of this episode. She said, it ain't none of y'all business. Stay out my business. Sabrina is like, well, Sarah's our friend, and we need to know for her. I said, Sabrina, you need to figure out if you think your fiance is cute or not. Vanna, you need to get your girl. You need to figure it out. You need to find out and know for your friend. Julie says she will get a chance. Okay, she will get a chance to ask all her questions when the time comes. But what happened between Charles and Sarah is their business. And what happened between Charles and I is our business and none of your business. I said, Julie, tell them. None of your business. Actually, why don't you wait for the show to come out so you could watch it in 4K HD. You could watch it on big screen. Wait till the show come out. I would have said that too. But Julie, you handled it very well. Very classy. Now, Sabrina and Kim are saying, well, we all shared an experience and we want to discuss this. I'm so glad Tatiana stopped getting involved, or at least what we saw is Tatiana stopped getting involved, because it was like 3 against 1. Now it was 3 against 2. Now it's 2 on to 2. Sabrina and Kim with Charles and Julie. Charles says, hey, it wasn't easy for Julie either. Sabrina's like, well, it's a chance for you to justify yourself. And he's like, he doesn't need to justify himself. Well, Sabrina's like, well, just explain. Why does he need to explain anything to you? Since when? Who are you, Sabrina? Go sit down and figure out if your fiance is cute or not. Ain't that what you were asking, Kim? So Sabrina tried to say, oh, we didn't understand, and certain behaviors bother us a little. Okay. But Charles, being a gentleman, he says, hey, we all had crazy emotions in here. Some of you connected with other people who are not here. We all had that experience dating different people. He says with Sarah it was rational, and with Julie, she touched his heart. And he chose to listen to himself and his heart, and he's happy now. Sabrina says, we are happy for you, and now we can all move on. That's all we needed to know. I was like, you didn't need to know a daggone thing, Sabrina. If I was Charles, I would have taken on like Julie. It's none of your business. But Charles does take Julie to the side. And I'm like, is someone smoking? Because I see another curl of smoke. Then I look on the table, and I see a pack of cigarettes and a lighter. I said, y'all are hiding this smoking thing up, but some people are smoking. Julie's like, who are they to talk on Sarah's behalf? It's none of their business. They want to gossip. They want to stir things up. She did not come here to sulk, but she will be polite and pretend but they better not get in their face. Julie says they are really united as a team, her and Charles, and she likes that. He's good for her, and she has no doubts. Can he come sleep in the room now, Julie? Please? Has he been good enough to sleep in the room? I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just, throwing real dirt on the whole situation. Now, Thomas is sitting in a group talking to Kim. He says, Julie does not look okay. She's like, well, when you're part of this game, that's what happens. And he's like, hey, he's looking for adult conversation. He's looking for grown-up conversation. But he cuts it off. He's like, you know what? He gets the sense that Kim ain't going to listen, ain't going to hear him. So Kim grabs Sabrina and Tatiana. Is that the mean girl trio? She says he's not taking her side as his wife. He said, poor Julie, you are my husband. You should not be saying that. And I'm like, can a man not have empathy for another human being? Can he not have empathy? She's like, she's supposed to feel safe with him, understood and supported. And, if it's an issue, then he does not have her back. He should at least have her back in public. Okay. Yannick and Thomas. Thomas says he wants to be happy and just enjoy this experience. He's not here for all this gossiping. So Yannick is like, that's a girl thing. Girls like to gossip around and go ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And Thomas said he doesn't want to spend the night talking about this BS. And I'm with you, Thomas. This is BS. He says he has a daughter. He has responsibilities. All this is nonsense. So Charles says it's trouble in paradise between Thomas and Kim. Thomas goes to see Kim. He's like, you look angry. She's like, no, I'm not angry. I'm disappointed. She says no matter what, her future husband should have her back. Loyalty is important. You cannot take sides. He's like, I don't care if he and his girlfriend are doing this or that. I don't care. Kim's like, you do care because you said poor girl. He's like, I'm just trying to show empathy. It doesn't mean it's against you. It's just being empathetic to what Julie may be going through. He said he is here with a wonderful person. He mean Kim, but she ain't that wonderful. But he's not here to talk about this other BS. Kim says, I take a stand and you don't support me. It's a stand that wasn't needed, Kim. You standing on Sarah's business that ain't your business. He says, I'm not against you. She's like, oh, well, it was tactless. And I'm like, but you had tact. You had tact. Calling Charles to his face a little elf. Calling him a troll. Getting into his business. You had tact. You think that was tactful. Okay. I must have read the wrong definition of tact. Okay. He says, so what do we do now? She's like, I don't know. He says he wanted to talk, but it got out of hand. And he cries and he wants to stop filming. But he just stands there with water in his eyes like he just wanted to be here for his person. And he's probably thinking like, I am spending time away from my daughter and this ain't even worth it anymore. That's what I think he's thinking. And y'all, that's the end of episode 4. We do see what's coming up. Apparently Cynthia and Jonathan are still at the resort, still arguing. I don't know why. We need to be packing and going home. But there's a lot of drama coming up. And I hope you will stick around and join me for future recaps. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.